Join me as I dive deep into the mind of a smart person and try to figure out why they fall for the gambler's fallacy. Can I unravel this puzzling behavior? The gambler's fallacy is one of the most fascinating and counterintuitive biases out there. It's the tendency to believe that a random event is more likely to happen because it hasn't happened recently, or that a pattern is emerging in a sequence of independent events. And what's even more intriguing is that smart people who are well versed in statistics and probability, are not immune to this fallacy. In fact, it's surprising how often even experts fall prey to it. Understanding cognitive biases like the gambler's fallacy is challenging because they're often rooted in fundamental aspects of human psychology. Our brains are wired to recognize patterns, to seek out meaning and order in the world around us. This is a powerful tool for survival, but it can also lead us astray when it comes to making decisions and assessing risk. The gambler's fallacy is particularly insidious because it takes advantage of our desire for control and our tendency to overestimate the role of skill in random events. One of the biggest hurdles in overcoming the gambler's fallacy is recognizing that randomness is still randomness, even when it looks like a pattern. It's easy to get caught up in the narrative of a hot streak or a cold snap, but the truth is that each event is independent of the last. The probability of a coin landing heads or tails doesn't change because of past results. It's a difficult concept to wrap your head around, especially when our instincts are screaming at us to see a pattern. The irony is that the more we understand about probability and statistics, the more we're susceptible to the gambler's fallacy. It's as if our knowledge gives us a false sense of security, making us overconfident in our ability to predict outcomes. But the truth is this: probability is a cold, unforgiving mistress. She doesn't care about our feelings or our hunches. She only cares about the numbers. And if we're not careful, our biases can lead us down a path of poor decision making. The psychology behind the gambler's fallacy is rooted in our deep-seated desire for control over outcomes. We want to believe that we can influence the roll of a die or the spin of a wheel. It's a fundamental aspect of human nature, and it's what drives us to try to find patterns in random events. But this desire for control can also lead us to make foolish bets and poor investments, all in the hopes of recouping our losses or riding a hot streak. It's a vicious cycle, and one that can be difficult to break. The gambler's fallacy is also closely tied to our perception of randomness. We tend to think of randomness as a temporary state, something that will eventually give way to a pattern or a trend. But the truth is that randomness is the underlying fabric of our universe. It's the default state, and patterns are the exception rather than the rule. This is a difficult concept to wrap your head around, especially when we're surrounded by seemingly patterns and trends in our daily lives. Did you know that even expert statisticians and financial analysts are not immune to the gambler's fallacy? In fact, studies have shown that even professionals who understand the underlying math behind probability and statistics can still fall prey to this bias. It's a sobering thought, and one that should give us pause when it comes to making decisions about risk and uncertainty. One of the most striking examples of the gambler's fallacy in action is the Monte Carlo fallacy. This is the tendency to believe that a streak of random events is more likely to end because it's due for a change. For example, if you flip a coin 10 times and get heads every time, many people would bet that the next flip is more likely to be tails. But the probability of the next flip is still 50-50, regardless of the previous results. This is a classic example of the gambler's fallacy in action. And It's a powerful reminder of the dangers of relying on intuition rather than evidence. The gambler's fallacy is a powerful force in our lives, and it can have serious consequences when it comes to decision-making and risk assessment. But by recognizing the underlying psychological and cognitive biases that drive this behavior, we can take steps to overcome it. By acknowledging our own biases and taking a more nuanced approach to probability and statistics, we can make better decisions and avoid falling prey to the gambler's fallacy. In conclusion, the gambler's fallacy is a fascinating and complex phenomenon that can affect even the smartest and most well-informed people. By understanding the psychology and cognitive biases behind this behavior, we can take steps to overcome it and make better decisions in our gambling, especially sports betting. Have you ever fallen prey to the gambler's fallacy when betting on sports? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about sports betting and beating the books, be sure to check out my other videos on the topic.